Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our 2:30 streaming show. I'm Jamie French.
And I'm Robinson Miles. Now, we're going to start things off today with some continuing coverage on something we started covering yesterday afternoon, and that is new information out of Henderson. We now know the name of the man killed when his car was hit by a train. Now, the Henderson County coroner says 25-year-old Dylan Jones died at the scene. It happened around 4 yesterday afternoon on Ann Austin Frog Island Road.
Yeah, deputies say they believe that Jones was trying to beat the train over the crossing. They also say that particular railroad crossing has no lights or barriers. So that victim's identity just came into our newsroom. We wanted to make sure we passed that along to you, and we'll have more tonight on 14 News.
Now, for our second headline here today, something that has been on a lot of people's minds recently, that strong smell that many have reported all over Evansville. Well, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management says they now know the cause. Now, they say O'Brien Barrel Company cleans empty barrels for reuse in both industrial and food industries. Officials say the facility got a delivery of empty barrels that previously contained mercaptan. Now, mercaptan is used to odorize natural gas, and it gives it that sort of rotten egg smell.
Yeah, officials say the hot water that they use to clean those barrels released the mercaptan smell into the atmosphere. They say O'Brien stopped the cleaning process immediately. Officials say that unpleasant odor might linger for a while. I feel like most of the morning we have gotten a lot of calls. The fire department's gotten a lot of calls. Everyone is wondering, what is that awful smell?
Yeah.
So, mystery solved, but you might have to deal with it for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, that was something that happened yesterday. I was walking out of the studio. I was like, oh, I'm going to die.
It
like
smells really bad. Some people
right?
have reported feeling nauseous about it, or dizzy, things like that. It's not super harmful, but it's certainly unpleasant, But we're getting to the bottom of it. Emma Beck is talking to several people today. And Arden is also going to explain a little bit further in her forecast about why this odor is still kind of hanging around in the air.
It's actually kind of the inaugural 14 First Alert Smellcast. Put that
disgusting.
right under Arden's name. She's excited to be a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, that's going to round out our headlines for today. But of course, these are developing stories. You're going to be learning a lot more. We've got people all over the tri-state right now. So be sure to circle back for 14 News at 4, 5, and 6. And then, of course, at 10.
Absolutely. All right, stick around. Arden's going to talk about that unpleasant smell and looking ahead in your 14 First Alert forecast right after the break.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices.
Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory, and we're going to start with talking about why that smell, which they already talked about, what caused it. It was that barrel cleaning company that we just discussed before. I just realized my necklace is hung on my microphone. I hope that doesn't make any noises. There we go. Okay, so now let's talk about why that smell kind of spread the way it did and why it lingered, because that's something that was probably unexpected. It was something that happened in one spot, but you could kind of smell it all over town, and we've been smelling it for quite a while now. So really, this is my theory anyway. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the fact that we had a temperature inversion. So let's kind of walk through what that is. What does that mean? Let me get this to go for me here. All right, let's talk about what a temperature inversion is. Here we go. Okay, so under normal circumstances, the air at the ground is warmer than the air up in the atmosphere, right? As you get higher into the atmosphere, the temperature cools down, right? And so the graph of that would kind of look like this. As you go higher into the atmosphere, the temperatures gradually cool off. That means because warm air rises, whatever pollutants, smoke, stink, whatever it might be down at the ground, as that air rises and lifts up into that cooler air of the atmosphere, it lifts out and away with it. When you have a temperature inversion, that is inverted. It is the opposite. So you have cooler air at the ground and warmer air aloft. So that would graph kind of like this. You've got this kind of cap, almost this lid on the atmosphere. And so when that happens, basically that air can't lift up and away. So things like smoke, pollution, or odors get trapped near the ground. So it would almost be like if you've ever had one of those glass candles, and you're not supposed to do it this way, but if you've ever put it out by just putting the lid on it instead of blowing it out, and the inside of that glass candle kind of fills with smoke, that's kind of what this is like. You're almost putting a lid on the atmosphere, then all the stuff that would have normally lifted up and out and away into the sky and not been our problem anymore gets trapped down at the surface with us. So this was one example of that happening. Sometimes you see it in other areas as well. Those of you who live near a plant of any kind, like let's take the Tyson plant in Roberts, for example. You may live far enough away from that most of the time you don't smell it, it doesn't have any impact on you. But every once in a while you're able to smell it. Sometimes that has to do with a shift in the wind direction, but most of the time that has to do with a temperature inversion. Usually that would all just kind of lift up and out and into the atmosphere, and it wouldn't spread across the area all that much. It would kind of just lift straight up and out. But when you get that temperature inversion, it kind of acts like that lid and it traps it down here with us, and it kind of starts to spread out horizontally instead. And so oftentimes it kind of spreads that stink out over a large area. So folks who, just as anecdotally as somebody who went to WKU in Bowling Green, you may have noticed sometimes campus will occasionally, rare occasions, smell like dog food. There's a dog food plant in Bowling Green, and when you get a strong temperature inversion, it traps that smell and basically makes the whole town smell like dog food. That's what happened here. We had this temperature inversion, so you had this stink, this natural gas chemical. Well, it wasn't natural gas, but it's the chemical they put in natural gas, right? So for those of you who didn't already know, another science lesson for you here. Natural gas doesn't have a smell normally. They put this smell into it so that if you have a gas leak, you can smell it, right? And so that chemical that they add to the gas to give it a smell, that is what was in these barrels that they were cleaning. So when they started cleaning it and adding the hot water to it and everything, it put off this smell like what you would expect natural gas, a gas leak, to smell like. But then because of this temperature inversion, that smell kind of got trapped under this dome of warm air and spread all over the city. So that's also part of why it was hard to find where the smell was coming from, because the whole city smelled like that. And again, a lot of it just came down to that temperature inversion. So there's your little weather science lesson for the day. Now let's move into the forecast. Yesterday, I was really talking up the fact that we finally got above freezing, right? Yesterday was the first time we got above freezing in 10 days. And that did help melt down some of the snow, and it also had an impact on our overall snow depth. So for those of you who are curious, we were at a snow depth, okay, so 6 or more inches of snow, a snow depth of 6 or more inches for 9 days straight in Evansville. So that's a long time. It's pretty uncommon for us to even get that much snow, but you know how it works around here. Usually it snows, then, you know, sun comes out, temperatures climb into the 40s, snow melts away again. We usually just wait it out. Just takes a couple days, snow's all gone. that was not the case this time. We got a lot of snow, then we got a long stretch of cold. Like I said, we were below freezing for 10 days straight. And so with that, we had a snow depth of 6 or more inches in Evansville for 9 days straight. That puts us in 3rd place on those rankings. 1977 and 1978, obviously way up at the top there. Those are some big granddaddy winter storms. I mean, those are the ones people still talk about. So, we had 24 days straight there from January 10th to February 2nd in 77, 17 days in a row with a 6-inch or greater snow depth from January 17th to February 2nd of 78. And then we come in 3rd place right here, 9 days straight from January 25th to February 2nd. It's funny that they all ended on February 2nd of 2026. We had 9 days straight of a 6-inch or greater snow depth. This morning that dropped to 5 inches. So we finally are seeing some of that melting off. Rounding out the rest of our top 5 or 6 list here. This one I thought was interesting. In 1960, we had a huge snowstorm and then cold snap in the middle of March. For a week straight, we had a 6-inch snow depth in March of 1960. Then, no surprise, 2004 down here tied with 1966, 2 big snowstorms and cold snaps there as well. But guess what? This is all finally coming to an end. We are tracking a warm-up. Now, we do have just one more little blip to get through first. We've got a little bit of rain and snow mix moving through the tri-state right now. As that moves through, we will see a brief dip back in our temperatures tomorrow and Thursday. Then the real warm-up begins by the end of the week, okay? We've been tracking these showers since about 10 or 11 o'clock this morning. Started out as just a few snow showers, mainly up around Wayne County, Illinois, and then they've slowly worked their way from west to east across the tri-state this afternoon. You'll notice the radar kind of changing colors there, going from blue to green. We're right at the cusp where some of this might be snow, some of it might be rain. I stuck my head out the door about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and the radar was showing mostly snow, but outside it was actually raining. So not really sure what's falling out there. Probably rain, maybe snow. The only hang up is I don't think any of it's going to freeze, but it might. Our temperatures are above freezing, but they're falling. So as we go through the rest of the afternoon, these showers will continue to work their way off to the southeast and out of the tri-state by this evening. Will all be dry. Some of the models are showing a chance of a flurry as we get late tonight into early Wednesday morning, but I'm not really buying that. I think we'll probably stay dry. The temperatures are where we may run into just a few slick spots. It's not going to be a widespread issue. We are getting some rain out there, but like I said, it's mainly just rain. The temperatures are warm enough that we're not seeing a lot of reports of freezing. Most of us are in the mid to upper 30s right now. It's 37 in Evansville. Check out Owensboro all the way up at 40, Greenville at 46. So it is warm enough that those shouldn't be freezing, but we have already hit our high for the day, so it's all downhill from here, falling back through the 30s this afternoon and evening. By the end of the night, we'll bottom out in the low 20s. We will also have a breeze coming in from the north. That's going to have a bite to it. That cold wind is going to put our wind chills in the low to mid-teens. Now, that is not anywhere near the coldest weather we've had in the past week or so, but still, don't let it catch you off guard. It's still going to be pretty cold out there late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Now that wind on the upside should help dry out the pavement. So that's going to be the trick, is the pavement that has gotten wet from the snow melt and the rain that we're seeing today. Can we dry that out before our temperatures dip below freezing? Anything that's liquid still left out there tonight could potentially refreeze into black ice. So just be on the lookout for that. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be a widespread issue, but because we are getting a little more precipitation this afternoon, because temperatures are above freezing, so some of that snowpack is melting, water running out into the roads, there is just that possibility that you could run into a little bit of a slick spot here or there, but again, not a widespread problem. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, colder. Today, our highs are peaking in the upper 30s. Tomorrow we'll probably only get into the upper 20s to around 30, so nearly 10 degrees colder tomorrow. And we still have that cold breeze from the north, putting our wind chills in the upper teens to low 20s. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, folks. Wednesday night is still going to be pretty cold. Our lows will dip into the mid-teens Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Thursday highs will be right around the freezing point. Then Friday. Friday is when I think we'll see a pretty big thaw. We're going to get some sunshine in here. Temperatures are going to climb into the mid-40s, which sounds downright balmy after the last couple of weeks, but that's actually where our temperatures should be this time of year. Then moving forward, we see a slight dip back over the weekend, but notice our highs still getting above freezing all weekend long. So from Friday on, we get above freezing every single day. And in fact, as we get into next week, check out Tuesday, highs in the 50s and even our low near the freezing point. So we could even see overnight lows above freezing as we get into next week. So again, we have had 6 or more inches of snow on the ground for 9 days. We just spent the past 10 days up until yesterday below freezing. It has felt like this winter storm is going to be with us forever, but it's not. We are finally going to melt, and we've just got to get through a couple more days before that really starts to all thaw back out. Looking at the extended outlook then, from the middle of next week on through Valentine's Day weekend, check out that map. Above average temperatures. So I showed you we start climbing into the 40s Sunday, Monday, maybe even lower 50s by Tuesday. I think by Wednesday it could maybe be warmer than that, well into the 50s, nearing 60. So we've got quite the warm up on the way, middle and second half of next week. It does show above average precipitation though. I do think we will get some rain as we get into the middle of next week. Some of those showers could even move in on Tuesday. So looking way out, a week away from now at least, it does look like we'll warm up, maybe get some rain, but hey, at least it will be rain, not snow that time around, as our temperatures will be above freezing. Let's check in with the comments. Hello, Ricky, Zach, Larry. I can't tell if you're making a joke or not, Larry, but I think it's supposed to be a joke. He said a bunch of hot air. Warm air aloft is literally what caused that stink to spread. So good joke, Larry. And then says the groundhog is a liar. Maybe he confused 6 weeks with 6 days. Yeah, we're definitely not going to have 6 more weeks of the kind of winter we've had for the last 2 weeks. That is for sure. We had a brutal end to January and still a pretty cold start to February. But as we get toward the middle of the month, we're really going to thaw out. By the middle of February, we are going to be near or even above average temperatures. We'll be talking about rain instead of snow. So we're putting all of this wintry weather behind us. We just have to get through a couple more days of chill here, with highs still near or below the freezing point tomorrow and Thursday. We've still got a couple more cold nights to get through here with lows in the teens and the 20s, but then we really start to warm up. Friday is kind of the start of the big thaw, and then we will just be melting from that point on, with temperatures, like I said, even climbing into the 50s by the middle of next week. So a big warm up on the way over the next few days. All right, I'm not seeing any questions in the comments, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lyons will have an updated look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, and 6, and then he will have another streaming update for you tonight at 9. He also keeps an eye on the Facebook comments, so if you do have any questions that I wasn't able to answer for you, make sure you tune back in at 9 o'clock tonight, and Jeff can answer those questions for you then. All right, everybody have a great rest of your day.